Woo! Man, we
Hey,
both picked pretty bright, simple
high
images.
key images. Yeah, that's
Wow.
interesting.
That is kind of
They're
interesting.
both kind of simple images.
So how you been? It's been a little while since we chatted. Where have
You
you,
know,
hey, seriously though, where have you been? Are you out shooting at all?
yeah, I'm up at Vitavu. I've been going up there about
Wow.
twice a week.
So how far away is that from you?
It's an hour from me, which is kind of nice.
That's
And I get to
nice.
go stop in Laramie and get a nice lunch. And it's not quite as good as the Alabama Hills or Joshua Tree. There's a lot of trees, which is not a part of my
Yeah.
vision for the project. I'm doing the Ancient Stones series,
Yeah.
but it's close, it's accessible. So I've been shooting up there quite regularly.
Hey, we had a lot of positive response to the idea of a vision workshop.
Hey, I think that we would stay in Laramie and work Vitavu.
There we go.
I really do think there's something there, John, that we could pursue. There's enough people interested in a non-iconic location
Yep.
where the focus is on expression, not documenting.
Absolutely. I mean, I would say of our masses of people who are commenting on that, there are probably six.
I
But but
think we
seriously,
should.
if you look at our numbers, our metrics, only like whatever 150 people are generally watching out of the 808. Um, so if we've got six or eight or whatever it was who said, "Man, I'm in." I mean, they were emphatic. They loved the idea. I'm not worried at all about filling that. So, folks, pay attention because I would like to try to fit that in even next year in 2025 if we could possibly do that. It takes some work because I'm already tapping Cole for a few things, and so we might have to wait a year because I don't want he and his wife to end up getting a divorce because of me. But if it's close to home there and it's only an hour away, and that might work. So again, for those who are maybe just tuning in, we have an idea, or Cole had the idea to do a vision workshop. How do you find your vision? And that would be the intent of the week, is to be doing some photography, but also having dialogue every day about how it's going, what's going on in the field. And we would probably have some exercises to do ahead of time, like go through your Lightroom catalog, make two piles like Cole has done in his How You Find Your Vision. So do that ahead of time and talk about that experience on probably the first day with us. How did that go? What did you learn? What did you find about your vision? Those types of things. So a week really focused on finding your vision. So if you have interest in that, continue to let us know in the comments. I'm keeping a list. Even better yet, send me an email. Um, and uh, and I'll keep a spreadsheet list. And those people who write to us, we'll tell them first what's going on, and you'll have first access to this new offering. But and one of the things that you and I both use as a tool, and David, I believe you pronounce it Lurie. David, I apologize if I've not pronounced that correctly. He was intrigued with a conversation we had about simplifying, the idea of simplifying your images, and asked us to speak a little more about that. So I know, Cole, this is a technique you use a lot. We did choose images to get started here that do show simplification in our minds. But why don't you rehash some of the reasons why, number one, or why it's important to you, and then what are some of the things you're doing to create simplification in your images, Cole?
Yeah, I think that's almost two topics, simplification versus simple images. When I was trying to find my vision, one of the things I did was simplify everything that I did. And that's where I went to my six-step processing process.
Yep.
And I threw away all the gadgets and stuff and went down to a single bag of gear. It was just a way to have less things to play with. So I would spend more of my time on focusing on vision. And what I found was that over time, I found my images were becoming more and more simple. I loved the very simple image. And that may not fit other people's vision, but if you're interested, some of the things that I found were useful in simplification were really use of negative space. I think that's what you call it, where there's a lot of black
Yes.
space.
Yeah.
So I would, if you look at some of my before and after images, I would just really burn down. In fact, let me just see if I can bring up an image because it's a good example. Whoop, I didn't mean to do that. Uh, bring up this one image. It's of that crazy guy with the skeleton on his back. Oh, I can't find it, doggone it. Remember that image, John, from Death Valley?
do.
Was walking around with the skeleton. Anyway,
Yes.
I burnt down so much of the image because it contained detail that wasn't important to the image, to my where I wanted the eye to go and the focus to go. Now, if I had been doing a more of a documentary type image where I was at Death Valley showing other people what I saw, you could say, well, hey, don't burn down that detail. People can't see what Death Valley looks like and they can't see the hills. But that wasn't what I was doing. I wasn't documenting. So I use burning as a great tool. The other thing that I use is, just cropping. How to get rid of anything that isn't necessary to what I'm trying to get the eye to go to and focus on. So I'd say those are my two biggest techniques.
Oh, I think you got one that's it's 1A
Oh,
at least.
yeah, you're right.
Long
Long
exposure.
exposure. Yeah, because I don't like a sky or water with a lot of detail. It's just too busy for my eye. I want the eye to go somewhere, and this is distracting. So those are both very good.
And I think another thing that I use is to simplify my composition in general, meaning here's a pattern in sand. I mean, what else do I need? I don't need the rest of it, right? I showed here, let me pull this up. Sorry to be looking away from the screen here, but this is we're in the Faroe Islands. I mean, that's one right answer, and I do have some foreground information here, but I'm probably more drawn to this image, right? I don't need all the foreground. I don't need the ocean. I don't
You don't
need
need the detail in the hills. That's,
right. And even in the hills, there's
yes,
it's very dark and very black. And
yes,
so to me, I guess maybe what'll help, and I think what David's probably looking for here is my intent is to try to convey the experience. I mean, that was a visceral moment of being there when we were watching this. I probably have 100 long exposures trying to find the right one, 2 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds. Would they be different? And why I was doing that was trying to find the right flow, the right rhythm of what was going on with that, because that's what I was in love with. So what I'm thinking about, David, is how can I simplify what I'm visually seeing out there, which is a lot of stuff going on, but I'm trying to find out what is it that I'm not being attracted to all that stuff. I'm being attracted and drawn to and pulled to and taken by all that action going on between those rocks. Is that the guy with the
yeah.
skeleton there?
I mean, this image has just been so burned down to put the focus, and I highlighted, of course, the brightness in the sky behind him, and I darkened the sky above him because I wanted the eye to go there and not to a bunch of detail.
Yeah, you can't help it. You go right to that guy. It's impossible. And so basically what you're doing there, I think, Cole, is you're simplifying the image with tonal values. Because when you say to me, some people may not want burning is going to make something darker, right? Dodging is going to make it brighter for those who are not quite sure about what that is. So when he's burning that foreground and burning that top, it's forcing the eye. Those are visual weight things. That's a heavy feeling, a heavy weight, the darkness. And so it's causing me to just go boom, right to the bright area, right to the guy standing on the point. And he's purposely got a dark, burned down guy
Yes, got rid
against
of all
the
his
very
detail.
bright.
Yeah,
Very, very,
and that's your vision. And so it bothers me when I see people who say, well, how did you do that? And you'll say, well, I underexposed and then I burned down this. And then they believe that once they know a technique, they
right.
then create the image. But it goes back to the John Lennon comment. There's 100 great guitar players, but he came up with the song. And
Yeah,
that's people need to learn to do, to learn to come up with their own song, not imitate someone else's.
yeah. Yep. Right. And using the techniques that we've spoken about here, a few of them, and you might have others, to simplify. Here's an obvious one. Black and white is simplifying all the myriad of colors that exist in the color photograph and bringing you down, in this case, to, black, white, and gray, different shades. And it's all about, could I get the whole Ravenel Bridge? Sure. That's what I could stand on the shore. I could get the water. I could get the bridge. I can get the beautiful sunset behind it. Or I could simplify it down to what it is that I'm really attracted to. It was the graphic nature of the bridge. It wasn't the bridge itself necessarily. It was
Yeah.
the graphic nature of that bridge that wanted me to get up on top of it and try to find a way to make a composition that was a little more compelling, expressive of what I was being drawn to.
And let's point out that these are techniques, and techniques don't make great photographs. They can help your vision. They should follow your vision. So I would say that simplification is something you've got to see and feel for yourself. There's other people who go the opposite direction of simplification, and it works for them because that's their vision. So the question is, what is your vision?
Yeah, that's all. That should always drive. Yeah, so you shouldn't just walk away from this saying, well, I guess Cole and John told me I should simplify my images. Well, that's certainly one choice. It doesn't mean it's the only choice. You know, it
Or
means
the right choice for you?
correct. And that's
Yeah.
the most important part of this discussion. So David, I hope we've given you a little bit more meat on the bone of what we're thinking about when we're talking about simplifying a process, as Cole talked about, but then also what we're thinking about as we're trying to simplify our images. So David, thank you for the question. Others, keep the questions coming. We're going to run out of ideas eventually. No, we're not. We've got Brooks Jensen to tell us
That's right.
what we need to talk about.